Responding to events. In this nugget, we're going to talk about how to make PowerShell or your scripts or whatever other code you write respond to events that occur in the background. So we'll start by talking about exactly what an event is and what it does and what it's for, and I'll show you an example of an object type that has an event that I think you'll find to be pretty useful. We'll look at how to register for an event, which is how you tell PowerShell, hey, I'm interested in this event. Let me know when it happens because I got something I want to do. We'll also talk about engine and custom events where you can make your own reactions to your own custom events being fired. And I'll show you 2 or 3 practical examples of this, ways to keep things running in the background, and a way to use events to make your own sort of really quick ad hoc event logging architecture. So if you've worked with PowerShell for more than an hour, you've probably started to at least get used to the idea of everything in the shell being an object. And objects, as you've probably already figured out, have got things like properties and methods. If we get a bunch of services, pipe them to get member, properties and methods. Properties allow us to look at settings like whether or not the service can stop and what its name is. Methods do things like start or stop the service. But there's another type of member in addition to properties and methods. Let me kind of pull something out of thin air on you here. New object system.timers.timer. This is not really this isn't really a PowerShell thing any more than a service is a PowerShell thing. A service is part of Windows. This timer is a part of the underlying .NET framework, and it actually gives us access to a piece of the operating system that's designed to emit a tick every so often. Literally just a timer like the one on your microwave. It's going to beep. Well, it's not literally going to beep, but it's going to do the computer equivalent of beeping every so often. Let's pipe it to get member. And you can see that we've got properties here, like the interval. That tells us how frequently this thing will beep. I'm going to set my timer interval to 8 seconds, and you'll see why in a minute. It's not currently enabled. They're enabled by the enabled property is set to false by default. But here's an event, and this is a different type of member. An event is something that happens. It's something that the object itself makes happen. So the deal is, once I enable this timer, every time the interval, which I've said is 8,000 milliseconds or 8 seconds, every time the interval passes, the timer will fire or trigger an elapsed event. Basically, events are just a way for an object to tell the Windows operating system, hey, this happened. This happened. Whenever I move my mouse over a button, for example, and you get the little highlighting or the things pop up, that's because events are happening. There's a mouse over event. And so the operating system grabs this event, it accepts the event, and then it looks to see if anyone has registered to be notified of that event. And anybody who did register to be notified is notified. So here, let's do this. Let's set timer.enabled equal to $true and wait for 8 seconds. 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000, 4 1000, 5 1000, 6 1000, 7 1000, 8 1000. Well, nothing's happening. Well, the timer is still sitting there in the background going, hey, I elapsed. And then 8 seconds later, hey, I elapsed. But no one cares. No one has registered or signed up for notifications. So let's do that. Let's create an action here. And this is just going to be a script block. And we're going to say write host beep. And we're going to do it in a foreground color of, I don't know, yellow on a background color of red. That'll be annoying. Okay, so this is the action we want to occur. Now we actually need to register for an object event. Register object event. And we want to register for on the timer object, and we want to get its elapsed event because that's the name that we saw up here. That's the elapsed event. And what we want to do is create source identifier. We want to create a name for our registration so we can get to it later. And this is going to be called annoy me. And what we want it to do every time the timer's elapsed event fires is execute our action. So I've created an object event registration with an ID number of 1, and look, 8 seconds later I get a beep, visually of course. Not a real beep, but boy, if you can imagine putting this on someone's computer and just having it randomly beep every like 13 seconds, some just weird odd number, and they would be on the phone with the help desk pretty quick. But you could always claim that you had no idea what was going on. So anyway, you can see that this is actually occurring. So this is the basics of event handling in Windows PowerShell. We've registered for some event that's out there. We've told it what to do when the event happens, and it's going to keep doing this. I can press Control-C all I want to, and it's going to keep doing it. The only way to stop it is to remove our event registration. And that's why when we created this event registration, we created it with a name. So I can do unregister event, annoy me, and hopefully now we're unregistered. You can see that it even did its little beep right in the middle of my typing. So we'll see if we're still there. But this is just kind of a fun little example, and it looks like it did unregister. It hasn't beeped again, thank goodness. So now I want to kind of step back and go through all the different things that you can do around events and show you some more examples. And the first is to just do help register object event. So you can see here's the input object. This is where we gave it the timer. This is the object whose event we want to register for. And then we gave it the event name of elapsed. And then we gave it the source identifier, which is just going to identify our registration record so we can refer to it later. And then the action that we want to occur. And there's a couple of other things you can throw in there, but those are the basic parameters. We have also looked at unregister event, and this simply cancels an event registration. You can either give it the subscription ID, and if you remember back when we did this the first time, all the way up here, we got an ID of 1. So we could have just given it the ID of 1, but it's a lot easier to create a source identifier name when you create the registration. And so that would remove the event registration from the system and tell PowerShell to stop responding to that event. Now, the event is still there happening in the background. In fact, now that I think of it, I should probably turn that timer off. It doesn't really hurt anything for there to be extra events firing off in the background. I mean, you might think, oh my goodness, the operating system's going to have to process that event every 8 seconds. The Windows operating system is processing literally thousands of events every millisecond. One more that comes along every 8 seconds is not going to make it break a sweat. So another command that you've got here is to get-event subscriber. This gets the current event subscribers. So if we just run get event subscriber, it will tell us everyone who's registered for an event at all. So and there are none. So if you've lost track of your subscription ID or your source identifier, that's how you would actually find them. Now, there's a couple of other interesting ones, and this is going to require me to kind of go off on a slightly different tangent, and that's called custom events and shell events. If you remember when we registered for that event, all the way back up here, it was register object event, which means we're registering to get this event of this object. Well, there are other types of events in the world, including some that are actually fired by the PowerShell engine itself. And to register for those events, we would register for an engine event. And the engine event we're going to register for this time is called PowerShell exiting. And the action, and this time rather than putting my action into a variable, I'm just going to feed it the script block right here. Right host, bye-bye. So I've created a new one there. ID number 2, I'm registering for PowerShell.exiting, and this is what's going to happen. And I could test this by simply running exit, and you would see it print bye-bye very briefly before the window went away. Before we do that, though, let's go back to get event subscriber. Because now you can see that I do have a subscription for that event. Subscription ID 2. There's no source object, but the source identifier is PowerShell.exiting, and I've got this action in there that I'm going to have it take. So I could remove this. I'm not going to exit and have that flash up real quick. Let's just actually unregister for the event. Now remember that there's two ways to register for an event. You can register for an object event, which is when you have an object you're passing in, or register for engine event. You unregister the same way for both. It's just going to be unregister event, and I'm going to give it my source identifier of PowerShell.exiting, and you'll notice that it is not case sensitive. If I run get event subscriber, now it's gone, so that's no longer there anymore. I could also have done unregister event and given it the number 2, because that's my subscription ID right there. So I can kind of do the same thing with a custom event, and this gets really, really cool. Let's register for an engine event. And the engine event we're going to do, I'm just going to name it my.custom. You can come up with any name you want to. And the action that I want to occur is we'll just write host fired in foreground color of, say, green. Green sounds fun. So there's my registration. If I get event subscriber, you can see it there. Now how do I do this? How do I actually trigger it? Because there's nothing in PowerShell that's going to emit or fire an event called my.custom, and there aren't any other objects laying around that are going to do that, so I actually have to trigger that event. New event my.custom. And you can see that it created the event, and that's what was output to the pipeline, and then because the event had occurred, it fired my event listener. Now, a lot of times when you fire an event, you're not going to want to see all this output. You just want to see whatever your event registration was going to do. So the way to do that is to take the result of new event and pipe it to out null. So it eats this, it pipes this to out null, but whatever resulted from the event being fired is still there. So I can keep doing that as often as I want to. Let's get my event subscriber and unregister event 3. Now it's gone. So this is actually a really neat little trick that you can use. Let me show you a practical way to use this. I'm going to come down here into the ISE. The first thing I'm doing is registering for an engine event, same as I've done before, and I'm calling it custom.log. And the action that I want to take is to take the contents of the $args variable and pipe it to out file, which is going to pipe it out to this file and append it to whatever was already there. $args will be populated automatically, and I'll show you where that comes in. I'm going to fire my new event, custom.log, and pass it event arguments. And I'm just going to pass it a simple string, log this. So this string is going to go into this $args variable. So kind of think of this. I'm triggering the event, passing it log this. That's going to go here. It's going to get piped to out file and get piped out to that file and appended to the end. The output of new event I'm piping to out null, just like I did before, so I don't see all that extraneous output. And then at the end I'm unregistering for the event. Let's actually do this in the shell so we can play with it live. Let's see, register, engine event. Oh, you know what? No difference between a script. Between a script and the shell. Let's just copy that in and paste it. Yay! So there's our engine event registered. Now, new event, custom.log, event arguments, log me, and then we're going to take the result of new event and pipe it out to null. Alright, so let's see if we have a get content c log.txt, and there it is. We can do it again and again and again. And every single time it's going to append it to the end of that file. So what I've kind of done is created an easy way for myself to send information out to a text log. When I'm finished, I'll do the same thing that was there in my script, unregister event custom.log, and we're good to go. And there's a couple of cool tricks and caveats around this whole event business thing. You remember at the very beginning I had an event subscriber registered to a timers enabled event. Let's do this again. I still have my timer here in the shell. Let's make the shell big again. Let's set the timer's interval to 10 seconds, just to give me a little bit more time to type. You'll see where I'm going with this in just a second. And I think we still have this action variable. Yep, we still do. So let's create another one called action2 and set that equal to host bong in a foreground color of magenta against a background color of green. That'll be super attractive. So we'll have beep and bong, and then action3. We'll just make bing, foreground color of green against a background color of yellow. I'm all about the high contrast colors. So let's register for an object event. And the object is going to be timer, and the event is going to be elapsed. And the source identifier, the first one we'll just call 1. And then we'll make it the action in action. Oops, what did I miss? I misspelled source identifier. Okay, there's that one. Now I got to get 2 in here, and it'll be action 2. And now we got to get 3 in here, and that'll be action 3. Now if you remembered earlier, I disabled my timer, so I'm going to enable it now. Timer enabled equals $true. And then we're going to wait about 10 seconds. What I'm illustrating here is that you can have multiple things attached to the same event. You can have lots of different things. Because remember, there we go, beep, bong, bing. It's Windows that's receiving the event. Windows then just has a list of people who want to be notified of the event. It's kind of like signing up for a mailing list on the internet. We've got 3 people who've signed up for our elapsed mailing list. When the timer object sends a message to the elapsed mailing list, Windows gets it and distributes it to all 3 of our people who've signed up. So here's the cool thing. I'm going to let this trigger one more time. Blah, blah, blah. Get event subscriber, pipe to unregister event. That will get all of them and unregister all of them simultaneously. Because frankly, watching beep bong bing over and over and over is going to get a little dull. So this event stuff can be really flexible. And there's a lot of instances where you might need to use this, where you might want to register for events on particular objects. The timer one, I think, is one of the most useful ones because it lets you have something that sort of kicks off every so often in the background of the shell. Maybe you need to check and see if a new file has been created, or you need to check and see if a file exists in a particular location, or you just want to ping a bunch of servers every so often. In fact, there's, in addition to the logging example I gave you, that's another example. Let's say you create a timer, you set it to go off every 60 seconds, and the action is to ping a bunch of computers. And if all of them are pingable, there's no output. You don't create any output in your action. The only time you create some output in your action is if one of those computers isn't pingable. So you can kind of have that running in the background of your shell as a quick check on some critical servers or whatever else, and it won't bother you so long as everything's good. No news is good news, right? But if one of those servers stops responding or something, then your shell can start displaying beep bong bing in different eye-rending colors to call your attention to a potential problem situation. In this nugget, we talked about events and how to respond to them in PowerShell. We started by talking about what events really are, and they're simply another type of member on an object in addition to methods and properties. Events are things that are fired, picked up by the Windows operating system, and then passed on to whatever has registered to receive information about those events. So we also talked about registering for an event, so that once the event occurs, our code is notified, or technically PowerShell is notified, and it executes whatever code we tell it to. We looked at engine events, events that are fired by the PowerShell engine that we can register for, and custom events, the ability to make your own event and have PowerShell execute code in response to that event. We looked at a few practical examples, using a timer to run things in the background, creating that logging event that I created, and so forth. I think events are one of the more useful things in PowerShell version 2, and with a little bit of creativity, I think you'll be putting them to a lot of use in your own projects. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to keep viewing.